and take a deep breath in and let it go. Perfect. Feel the air as it moves into your lungs and gently leaves your body, grounding you into this moment. In this space, your mind can find rest, release, and reset. You're in a place where you're safe to explore what's within you. Now I wonder if you've noticed how your body reacts when uncertainty arises. A tightening in the chest, a quick rush of thoughts, sudden search for safety that comes before you even realize it. It's natural, isn't it? That reflex that kicks in to protect you, to seek control in the chaos. It's as though your mind's already preparing for what might come, even before you've had the chance to think it through. It's a response that's built in, designed for your safety. But what if in this moment you could take a step back from that reflex and allow your body to soften? Imagine trusting your instincts, but also allowing the calmness of your breath to lead you, giving your mind space to relax. You may begin to wonder if it's possible for your nervous system to adapt, to realize that not every moment requires that state of heightened alertness, that you don't always need to be on high alert. What it would be like to let that shift happen naturally. As you notice these responses within you, take another deep breath in. Perfect. And slowly release it. With each breath, feel your body beginning to soften, to gently let go. Allow yourself to experience the shift from alertness to relaxation. Let it be effortless, like a wave gently lapping at the shore. You don't need to force it. Just let it happen as your body becomes more comfortable, more grounded, and with each breath, feel yourself becoming more at ease. Your mind naturally focused on calm can now absorb this peaceful shift. You might even feel curious about how this sense of calm is growing stronger and deeper. I remember once when I was working at the Law Society of New South Wales. It's kind of like the Bar Association in America. I'd been promoted to the Special Investigations Department, and to be honest, it felt like stepping into a world of secrecy and confusion. I didn't know what was going on most of the time. It was the kind of place where lawyers in trouble would call. They'd admit they had committed a crime and then ask for help to minimize the consequences. Basically, they were looking for a way to spend less time in jail and more time in the office. You know what I mean? I never imagined I'd be caught up in that kind of thing, but there I was, thrown in the deep end, trying to make sense of it all. And as I settled into this strange high-stakes environment, one of the big cases was a massive trust fund investigation. Back then, it seemed like everyone wanted a slice of the pie from these huge construction projects. But sometimes these projects would collapse faster than a poorly made deck of cards. Investors would lose everything, and the chaos would follow. Lawyers would scramble trying to clean up the mess, but no one could figure out how to stop the money from disappearing faster than a magician's trick. And just when things looked like they couldn't get any worse, someone would secretly stash all the funds away, living it up on a tropical island while the rest of us were holding the bill. Classic, right? I'll never forget one solicitor working in a posh office building across from Martin Place in Sydney. Word had it the poor guy was so overwhelmed by the whole situation, he was threatening to throw himself out of his office window. Now, whether that was true or just dramatic office gossip, I'll never know. But it sure felt like something straight out of a soap opera. Even now, I don't know how that case ended up. The details were locked away, hidden behind a legal vault I wasn't allowed near. And yet, despite all the drama, the trust funds are still around. People still trust lawyers, and the system keeps on churning, even when things look like a complete mess behind the scenes. It's wild how, despite the chaos, things continue to move forward. Now, in that place of chaos, imagine if instead of feeling that overwhelming weight, the body and mind could have responded differently. Think about how you might respond when you encounter something that triggers anxiety, whether it's the thought of gun violence or the weight of uncertainty in the world. What if instead of letting that tension take over, you could choose to shift your focus and calm yourself? Just like stepping back from that dramatic office scenario and finding a sense of ease. What if instead of immediately reacting to fear, you could recognize there's another choice? You might notice a sense of peace beginning to form naturally as your awareness shifts from fear to calm. With each moment, you can choose to let go of unnecessary fear, trusting your mind can adapt, and choose how it responds to the world around it. Imagine this peace being more accessible to you, with each breath naturally spreading across your body and mind. Your breath flows steadily, inhale and exhale, like the ebb and flow of a gentle tide. Remember that safety isn't something you need to search for outside yourself. It's something you can cultivate moment by moment within. And I wonder if you've ever noticed when you simply acknowledge the impulse or judgment to it, your body naturally softens just by noticing there's a space to release, a moment where the tension isn't needed anymore. You might begin to realize in the stillness how your mind starts to understand something new, that not every thought is a call to action. Not every reaction needs to lead to a response. And in that stillness, there is freedom. There may be moments when awareness sharpens instantly, like when a headline or sound or memory brings tension to the surface. In those moments, the mind moves quickly, scanning, preparing, anticipating what might come next. Perhaps you've noticed how swiftly one can shift into another, how the body reacts almost before you've had time to decide how you want to feel. It's like a reflex, automatic, instinctual. But what if in that very instant there was a space, a pause, a moment where time itself seems to slow just enough for you to notice and then choose? Some people discover that as soon as they recognize that reflex, a deep, natural breath flows. It's like the body knows exactly what to do. Breathe in, breathe out, and in that breath, something shifts. There's a space between the impulse to react and the action that follows. I wonder if you've ever considered deep down that this pause, this space is already within you. just waiting to be noticed. It's always there, just beneath the surface, ready to allow you the choice, the calm and the peace. And from that pause, a different future begins to take shape, a future where you can step into that space of calm with more ease each time. You might be curious to discover how, with practice, this pause becomes second nature, a moment where steadiness replaces fear, where confidence naturally overrides tension, where your mind, instead of reacting in haste, simply resets. And later, whether it's tomorrow, next week, or in a moment where it matters most, you may find yourself recognizing that space, feeling it, expanding it, and stepping into it almost effortlessly as a reflexive need to react softens and the ability to pause becomes more automatic. The next time the world moves fast, when you feel that familiar rush of thoughts and tension, you'll remember there's always a pause, a space for you to breathe deeply, to reset, to choose your response with clarity. Now I wonder whether you can imagine, just for a moment, finding yourself in a situation where the anxiety triggered by the impact of gun violence may arise. Perhaps it's a sound, a thought, or even a news report. And in that moment, you may notice how your body responds. Tension, alertness, a rush of worry. I wonder if you'll notice that response, whether you can ask yourself, if I react to this anxiety with fear or panic, what might happen? How might that affect my well-being in this moment? If you let the tension take over, you might find that it deepens your unease, creating a cycle where the fear intensifies, the thoughts spiral, and your body remains tense. And if that happens, you may even find it challenging to shift out of it. But what if instead you chose to respond differently? What if in this very moment you decide that it doesn't define you? What could happen when you choose calm over fear? And if you choose to take a deep breath now, I wonder how your body might respond. Perhaps you'll feel it softening, loosening, calming. And I wonder if, by stepping back from the anxiety and allowing yourself the pause, the mental fog could clear and your thoughts might begin to settle. What might happen if you choose to shift from the automatic reaction to mindful awareness? And I wonder how it would feel if you chose a response that supports your well-being. If you keep choosing this, how do you think it will affect you in the future? Imagine how your body and mind might feel when you practice this awareness in the future. You may notice a sense of peace, a growing confidence in your ability to choose how you respond. Every time you breathe deeply, you might find that you strengthen your sense of control. If you maintain this practice, I wonder how your anxiety might become easier to manage and how your mental well-being may improve. And as you move through life, whenever a moment of tension arrives, you might ask yourself, if I choose calm and clarity now, What might that bring me in this moment? And I wonder, if you ask yourself this, how your response will shift in ways guiding you towards greater peace as you settle deeper into relaxation. Notice how your breath flows smoothly in and out. And let your body relax with each exhale. Feel the weight of your body supported and grounded in the present moment. And in this space of calm, I invite you to consider the impact of gun violence on your mental well-being, not just on a surface level, but from different perspectives. You might notice that anxiety comes from many places, not just the immediate moment. You may feel the tension of the news, the fear of uncertainty, or even the collective worry of those around you. And yet, there are other layers to consider. The physical sensations you experience in your body, the thoughts you hold, and the deeper emotional currents beneath the surface. Imagine that your mind is like an ocean, with waves of anxiety rising and falling, but just beneath the surface there is stillness and clarity. As you breathe deeply, you might notice that these waves of anxiety are just part of a larger picture, just one layer of a much more complex experience. And as you acknowledge the surface level, the anxiety that surfaces when gun violence is discussed, you can also become aware of deeper layers. Perhaps there are fears or past experiences that have once contributed to this feeling. Or maybe it's a collective energy of society. The sense that safety is uncertain, creating that unease, and yet in this very moment, you are here. You are safe. You are aware of your body, your breath, and even the choices you make. With each inhale, you draw in peace, and with each exhale, you release the tension that may arise from thinking about the bigger picture. I wonder if you've noticed that the more you practice breathing through anxiety, the easier it becomes to find peace at all levels, physical, mental, emotional. What if, instead of trying to remove the anxiety altogether, you allowed it to be just one part of a larger experience, one layer among many? What if, by accepting that it's okay to feel anxious at times, you could simultaneously step into a space of calm, strength, and empowerment? You might notice that with this shift in perspective, anxiety loses its grip on you, becomes just one voice in the chorus of thoughts and feelings you experience. And as you move forward, you may find you can hold a more flexible view. There may be moments when it rises and others when it fades. There'll be moments when the world seems uncertain, and yet you will remember that you have the ability to choose your response. You can observe the anxiety, but also choose to experience peace. To see the bigger picture, to understand you are more than any moment of anxiety. In the future, when anxiety arises, you'll know how to look at it from all sides. With curiosity and compassion, you'll see that anxiety. You'll see it as just one moment, one layer in a multi-dimensional experience of life. As you continue to relax, you may begin to notice how you feel in this moment, how your body, your mind, emotions all come together as one. Let your breathing deepen. With each breath, let your awareness of the present expand. Now, as you think about the challenges you face, particularly the impact of gun violence on mental well-being, I want you to think about how you make decisions in these moments. When you encounter a situation that might trigger anxiety, you have a choice. Do you proceed or do you pause? If you decide to proceed, ask yourself, does this choice bring you personal satisfaction? Or is there a sense of compromise? Or it just doesn't fully resonate with your well-being? If you pause, what do you gain from that decision? How does it feel to take a step back and breathe, to give yourself space to reflect and realign? You might notice that when you feel a sense of personal satisfaction, when you feel aligned with your values or needs, it's easier to move forward with confidence. On the other hand, if you sense that you're compromising or complying with external pressures, you might find yourself hesitating. And hesitation's okay. It's your mind giving you the chance to pause and reassess. You have the power to pause when you need to check in with yourself and assess how you feel before deciding. Now I'd like you to think about how your feelings and thoughts are connected, especially when anxiety arises around difficult topics like gun violence. Imagine that your feelings are like waves moving in and out. Your thoughts are like clouds floating by. And as you breathe deeply, imagine that you can separate your feelings from your thoughts. Visualize your feelings as something separate, like a cloud that can float away from your mind, leaving you with a sense of clarity and calm. Now consider what it would feel like to amplify this calm, the confidence, the peace you desire. Picture this desired state expanding, growing stronger in your mind, while the anxiety and fear become smaller, less impactful, like distant ripples on the surface of a lake. With each breath, let that peace grow. Let the feeling of calm and control expand inside you, creating a sense of resilience. As you separate your emotions from the circumstances, you'll find yourself more capable of choosing how to respond, not controlled by your feelings, but guided by your ability to decide. Take a moment to acknowledge how far you've come. As you've practiced separating your feelings and thoughts, you've gained the ability to pause, reflect, and decide with purpose. Notice how you've skillfully navigated this process, choosing to act when it feels right, and giving yourself permission to pause when needed. Recognize the strength in your ability to make thoughtful decisions. You've been deliberate, mindful, and focused on your well-being. Feel a sense of honor and acknowledgement for this skill you've developed. You can choose with clarity, and each time you practice this, you become more confident in your ability to handle difficult emotions and situations. As you continue to deepen your sense of calm, I want you to think about how the skills you've practiced here today can apply to other situations in your life. When you're faced with uncertainty or anxiety in any form, Remember, you have the ability to pause, reflect, and decide whenever you encounter situations that bring anxiety, whether it's related to gun violence or other stresses. You'll be able to ask yourself, is this decision bringing me personal satisfaction, or is it something I'm compromising on? You can use the same criteria to guide you through any challenging moment. You've developed the ability to separate your feelings from your thoughts, amplifying the desired outcome of calm, clarity, and control, no matter what the situation is. And as you go forward, remember that the process of pausing, assessing, and making deliberate choices applies to all moments in your life. Each time you choose thoughtfully, you reinforce your ability to handle future challenges with the same skill and confidence. Perfect. And in a moment, I invite you to begin to stretch out. Take a few deep breaths. Wriggle your fingers and toes. And open your eyes. Welcome back. You're perfect, just as you are.